To chase her idol, the woman quits her job at a major corporation and joins his small-scale company. She thinks simply working for him is the height of luck, yet the idol confesses his love and asks to date her. Ji had been about to confess to Dolan, only to be abruptly interrupted by Lee Kan's sudden appearance. Lee Kan claims he has come to help them persuade the master. In truth, he messaged Dolan the day before, hoping to apologize for his ex-girlfriend's humiliating treatment of her. Dolan had refused to meet him, and out of concern he had followed them all the way here. That night, Lee Kan and Ji are put up in the same room. Lee Kan probes whether Ji cares deeply for Dolan. Ji denies it, claiming Dolan is merely a new recruit whom he, as the company representative, is bound to look after. Lee Kan sees through his lie. He noticed Ji had been ready to confess. Since he himself has feelings for Dolan, he had turned on the car headlights out of jealousy on purpose to break them apart. Early the next morning, Ji gets up to practice weaving, and finds Dolan already in the courtyard. Having experienced the craft firsthand, the two gain new insight. They vow to set up a DIY weaving zone for enthusiasts instead of letting machines fully replace traditional handcraftsmanship. After a night of reflection, the master realizes that relying solely on his own persistence cannot preserve the heritage. He finally agrees to cooperate with Apollo. With their mission accomplished, the three head back to the city. The two smitten men both insist that Dolan ride in their car and refuse to back down, leaving the choice to her. Remembering Lee Kan said he had something to show her that morning, Dolan chooses to get into his vehicle. Back in Seoul, Lee Kan takes Dolan to a fan message wall familiar to her. Years ago, she once wrote a supportive message there. It is here that Lee Kan hands over Dolan's long-lost notebook. Dolan learns their paths crossed long before. The notebook had sustained Lee Kan through many hard days, and he had always hoped to reunite with its owner. Now his wish has come true. Once Dolan recovers from shock and excitement, Lee Kan sincerely apologizes for his ex-girlfriend's rude behavior. He explains they have long broken up. The ex-girlfriend had insulted Dolan purely out of revenge against him. He no longer wants to see Dolan only as a fan and confesses his feelings for her. Dolan tells her best friend about the idol's confession. Her friend is ecstatic, calling it straight-out drama romance material, saying she could die happy after such a fan experience. Still, Dolan does not give him an immediate answer. For over a decade she has only known Lee Kan as her idol. If they date, she needs to get to know him as an ordinary man. A hasty yes might ruin all her precious memories. Her friend understands her hesitation and advises her to set aside her fan identity and judge whether Lee Kan suits her as a woman. The best approach is to go on 3 dates before deciding on an official relationship. Bidding results are announced shortly afterwards. Both Apollo's weaving project and S company win the tender. Ji recognizes Dolan's key contribution and puts her fully in charge of follow-up event planning. Colleagues pitch in, and Lee Kan also joins in. He asks Dolan to teach him weaving and presses her for her reply. Dolan shyly agrees to give it a try. Ji knows nothing of their developing bond. Every time he sees them growing close, he steps between them to pull them apart, and his fondness for Dolan grows harder to hide. While jogging the next morning, Ji ends up near Dolan's place and spots her tending to 2 stray kittens. Dolan says they were abandoned. She cannot bear to leave them and wants to take them home. Ji accompanies her to the vet. The doctor advises feeding the kittens every 2 to 3 hours overnight. Dolan worries, for she already has plans for the evening. Ji offers to keep the kittens at his house. Delighted, Dolan promises to pick them up as soon as she is free. At the thought of Dolan visiting his home that night, Ji lets his imagination run wild, wondering who her date is. Her date is in fact Lee Kan. Dolan arrives at the cinema early. Lee Kan shows up shortly before screening time, heavily disguised. They watch a horror movie. The normally poised and cool-looking Lee Kan keeps cowering toward Dolan in fright. Seeing this side of her idol amuses Dolan. After the film, they walk along the street and get secretly photographed. Soon swarms of fans flood into a convenience store and surround Lee Kan for autographs. Fans kept pressing to find out who Dolan standing nearby was. Afraid her presence would harm Lee Kan, Dolan quickly lied that she was just a random passerby shopping for goods and rushed off alone, cutting their date short. Meanwhile at home, Ji had been waiting for Dolan for ages. Staring at the 2 energetic kittens, he got a crafty idea. He called her and lied that one kitten had slipped into an unresponsive sleep. Upon hearing this, Dolan hurried over without delay. Seeing her shivering from the cold, Ji wrapped a blanket around her and poured hot tea for her. He then made up another lie, saying the kitten had been asleep until right after he hung up. One kitten had a domineering personality and kept bullying the other, so they could not stay together for the time being. Worried that Dolan could not handle them on her own, Ji suggested they each take one kitten to raise. After Dolan carried her kitten home, she reflected on everything that had happened that night. A heavy feeling lingered in her heart. She could not put it into words, yet she always felt tense and constrained around Lee Kan, whom she had admired for more than 10 years. By contrast, she felt remarkably at ease around Ji. To make up for their flawed first date, Lee Kan soon invited Dolan out for dinner for their second date. At the high-end restaurant, Dolan stared blankly at the French-language menu she could not understand a single word of. Too embarrassed to show her confusion in front of Lee Kan, she fumbled awkwardly with the menu. Lee Kan noticed her predicament quickly, asked what food she usually enjoyed, and smoothly rescued her from the awkward situation. Halfway through dinner, Lee Kan received a phone call from his agent. A famous director had arranged an impromptu audition and demanded he show up right away. Lee Kan wanted to turn it down, but his agent stressed repeatedly that this opportunity must not be missed. Lee Kan had to explain the situation to Dolan. Hiding all her disappointment, Dolan comforted him instead, telling him work came first and she was perfectly fine. After Lee Kan left, the waiter brought out a cake he had ordered in advance. Staring at the cake, Dolan recalled her birthday back in school when all her classmates stood her up. That familiar sense of being abandoned washed over her again. While she sat there feeling dejected, Xiaoji suddenly appeared, took her hand, and led her straight out of the restaurant. Xiaoji had come to the restaurant for a client meeting. He had only seen the back view of Dolan with a man. Unable to recognize Lee Kan's face, he assumed Dolan had been stood up by a blind date. Dolan offered no explanation, forcing a smile and claiming she was alright. Xiaoji spoke earnestly to her. Every time she said she was fine, she was only easing other people's sense of guilt, while she herself remained the one suffering. At least in front of him, she could admit she was not okay at all. His words struck home for Dolan. She dropped her pretense and confessed she was truly upset. Xiaoji grew indignant on her behalf, telling her she deserved someone far better and should never date such a jerk. Dolan was torn between laughter and helplessness, unable to bring herself to say that the so-called jerk he was talking about was none other than Lee Kan, her idol. Xiaoji's presence lightened her gloomy mood, and Dolan cheered up fairly quickly. Reluctant for their time together to end, Xiaoji rambled on about the kittens at home. Once the topic turned to something they both cared about, Dolan brightened up immediately and pulled out her phone to show him photos of the little cats. They drew closer to one another, and the atmosphere grew delicate as their eyes met. Realizing how charged the moment was, Dolan quickly looked away. Just then snowflakes began to drift down from the sky. She held out her hands happily to catch them. Her silk scarf resting on her lap was suddenly swept away by the wind, and the two accidentally kissed.